So I'm going to play this first part, and I'll be stopping it as we go along. And I want you to see in the beginning, she is in alpha. She's describing things. She is not the person yet. It doesn't take her very long when she becomes the other person. That's when we know they're in the somnambulistic level, they're in theta. When they become the other person. So I'm going to stop it at that part so you can see what happens at that point. After they become the person, they stay that personality throughout the whole session. The only time they might slide back is they'll be way into the session, and sometimes they'll say, "You know I'm making all this up, don't you?" That's Mr. Stupid. I'm not gone anywhere, I'm still here. He's got to get his 2 cents in. You're making it up. Then I said, that's okay. Just keep talking to me. Just keep telling me what you're seeing. Don't let Mr. Stupid get in there. But usually once they become the other personality, they stay it throughout the whole session. Okay, now I'll be starting and stopping this, so I'm going to see if I can make it work here, okay? And this is a long session, so I'm going to be speeding forward in parts. Now, all of the things that we'll be playing during the class, you'll have. And everything that I'm playing is there, so you can hear the entire sessions. So I'll stop it, and I'll move it forward, and I'll tell you what's happening in there so we don't have to spend time going step by step by step. Okay. Oh, and this woman, when she came to see me, no health problems. She was having family problems, mostly her husband. Very bad situation with the husband. She was really wanting out. It was so bad. And that's what she wanted to know. Where did this come from? Did she have a past life with him or something? And I think you'll see as we go through this, you can make the connection. The husband in this life is the same husband she's got now. And it becomes very obvious after we start going through it. Okay, let's see if we can, what happens here. What do you see down there? I see, I'm starting it as she comes off of the cloud. And she says, she's on the ground. It sounds like Julia, but it's not Julia. And I said, what do you see out there? Okay.
Sunshine.
Sunshine.
Are you on the ground yet? Yes. What are you standing on? On a cobbled street.
Can
You see?
you hear it in the back? She's on a cobbled street. Okay.
Sunshine, you said? Yes. A cobblestone street. What does it look around you as you look above the street? What are your surroundings? It's a fairly narrow street, and there's a fountain at the end. It branches out into 3 or 4 different streets. All like intersecting? Mm-hmm. Okay, are there lots of houses? Yes. Are you just standing on the street, looking down the street, or what? Looking down the street towards the fountain. Okay. Look down at your feet. Do you have anything on your feet? Soft, very soft shoes. Well, look above the shoes. What kind of clothes do you have on your body? I've got a long skirt and an apron and something on my legs, sort of like hose, but it's quite rough. Obviously, then you're female, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Does the body feel young or old? I think I'm in my 20s. Does the body feel healthy? Yes. What color hair do you have? Brown. Are you wearing anything on your head? Yes, I'm wearing some sort of headdress. It's linen and a headdress. Like a cap or? Yeah, almost like a cap. On your hair? Yes. Right. Are you wearing any kind of jewelry or anything on your body? Some chains around my neck. Something on my right wrist. Are you carrying anything? I think I've got a baby on my back. And a carrier. Yes, on some sort of carrier on my back. Like something strapped on your back? Mm-hmm. Is the baby heavy? Okay. It's not too heavy then? No. Is it your baby? Yes. Thought maybe you were taking care of it or something. No.
Okay, do you see what just happened? This is what I mean, you watch until they become the person. Before that, she was saying, I think there's something on my legs, and she's thinking at it objectively. But then when I ask about the baby, it's my baby. So see, now she has become the person. And there'll be many other answers as we go along in the beginning part. You can see she is the personality. When that happens, you know they have gotten into the deepest level and they will be that person. This is what you have to listen so closely to their answers. Now, so far, we don't really know where we are. She's in a city. And it's got a cobblestone street. It's got narrow streets going down with a fountain at the end. And where do you think that would be? One person said New England. Well, I didn't get that feeling from it. But it definitely sounds like Europe, doesn't it? Somewhere in Europe. One class, one of the students said Africa. I said, how did you get Africa? She's got a baby on her back. That doesn't mean Africa. A lot of cultures had babies on their backs. So we figure out it's in Europe. Can you figure out about a time period from the clothes? You know it's not modern with the long dress, and so we know it's back there somewhere. And as we go along, we'll be able to pinpoint more exactly what time period we're in. Now, after we establish they're in the body, we've got a good idea this is a woman, we've got all that figured out. Then the next thing I always have them do is go and see where they live. We're still setting the stage. I have them go and look at the place they live from the outside. And I always say it that way because you don't say, well, and normally you wouldn't say, go to the house you live in. Because some of these regressions, they don't live in houses. They may live in a cave. They may live in a teepee. You don't know. So I always say, do you live around there somewhere? They say yes. I said, is it close? So sometimes you're out in the middle of nowhere. And go to the place you live and tell me what it looks like from the outside. And they'll start describing it. Then I will have them go inside the place where they live and tell me what it looks like in there. We're still setting the stage, and now we're going to begin to get the characters. Because once they're inside the house or wherever, the best time to find out if there's any family is to take them to when they're eating a meal. Because if they have a family, they'll all be there eating together. And then you can figure out, okay, what is the relationships here? We've got to get all this established before we move into the story. And I have learned a lot by asking what kind of food they're eating. Because I have a book at home, it's a very, very old book, and it's been out of print for a long time, that tells all the food that was ever eaten anywhere in the world, at what time periods and everything. So by the time of what kind of food, I know what country they're in, and I know what time period, and they're never wrong. And I've used that a lot with my books because it's really good for research. People afterwards always say, what's the name of that book, so I can get it. I don't remember the name, but I just know it's very, very old. But that's how I can tell. I always want to know, what are you eating? And we get a little more information about their social status also, of what they're eating. And also, before the 1800s, if you ask about the utensils they're eating with, before the 1800s, the forks had 3 tines, if you know what I mean. Now we have 4. So that'll tell me we're before the 1800s. But many of them used wooden spoons. That's all they had, was wooden spoons. These things may seem nitpicky, but I want to set the stage before we go any further. And those little things will give you clues as to where we are. Okay. So I want to see all of that before we get into the story. Now, when she gets into the house and starts describing the house, I'm going to stop it again because you can hear what she says. That firmly means she is this woman. Okay.
Well, if you're out there on the street, do you feel like you belong there?
Mm-hmm.
You're comfortable with the place there.
Yes.
Do you think you live near there?
Yes, I live there.
Can you see the house that you live in?
Sure, I knew it would be a house there, you know.
Yes,
Is it one of the houses on that street?
they're all the same, pretty much.
All made alike then.
Mm-hmm.
What does it look like from the outside?
It's got a little tiny stoop. It's got a wooden door with a big knocker on it. It's got a glass pane on the right-hand side.
Now, when I've taken anybody into the Middle Ages, they don't know what glass is. And you try to explain something that we know and we see every day to somebody who doesn't know what it is. You've got to really come up with your imagination. But every time I take them into the Middle Ages, they don't know what glass is. So she is describing a glass pane, so I know it's after the Middle Ages. Big knocker on the front door. Now, people are always asking me about if they're in these other countries and there's other time periods, their native language is going to be wherever they are. Why are they speaking to me in English? Well, I've found we are using a different part of the brain that the scientists don't understand. It's the part that has vocabulary. And they appear to be translating from whatever their native language is into the language that I'm speaking. And a lot of times you can tell they will put words out of order. And I've had them start off the whole session in a different language altogether. And I usually tell them, you must speak in the language I'm speaking so I can understand you. And they'll say, I'll try, it's difficult, but I'll try. And I'll say, I appreciate it if you do. In those cases, when they start speaking English, they'll have an accent and they will reverse the order. You know, when you're translating from one language to the other, you put the words in different order. They may say something like, I understand your question not. To get it, then they're translating in their head. So people always ask me about that, but we're using a part of the brain they don't understand. Now, when she gets into the house and starts describing what's in the house, this is a good example of that. She can't pronounce the word wooden, wooden. She goes like that. Why can't I say that? Why does that sound so strange? And it shows she doesn't know that word. And one of the people in one of my classes said, you know, in some parts of Europe, they can't say the W sound. So I said, we're somewhere in Europe. Now it's going to go along, maybe I'm spoiling it, but when we get way into it, she finally comes up and tells me it's Italy. Well, we had someone in one class that said the letter W does not exist in Italian. This is what I mean. I know we are really back in time. We are in those, that she is in that body in that time period. So you're going to hear her say that. She can't pronounce the word. That means she is thinking with that person's brain. Okay, so now we're going to go inside. Okay.
How many floors does it look like it has?
It's got 2 floors.
So it has an upstairs.
Yes.
Right. Go inside the house and see what it looks like.
It's quite simple. There's a cradle for the baby. It's on a stand. There's cooking. There's a spot for the hearth and the cooking utensils. There's a wooden. I can't say that. Wood. Wooden. Why does that sound so funny? Wooden table, and there's 2 wooden chairs. Yeah.
Now, in some countries I've done this, they don't know what a hearth is. We know what a hearth is, don't you? It's the fireplace, and you have that hearth there, and they cook on that. They have the pots hanging in the fireplaces, and they cook. I've got a fireplace in my house because we live in the country, and it's a big stone hearth. But some countries I've gone to, they can't translate that. They don't know what it is. In Russia, my translator was going through the book. She couldn't find a word, and nobody else knew what it was. I'm trying to explain what a hearth is. So, okay, so you know what I mean. Okay, but she's talking about the cooking utensils on the hearth. Okay.
So,
You cook on the hearth?
yes. Yes.
Is that hard to do?
I've done it all my life.
I wondered if it's hard to keep the fire going to cook the food, you know?
It's what you do.
Okay. She said, I've done it all my life. It's what you do. So, okay. You see what I mean when they become the other person? And she's definitely somnambulistic. She is in the deepest level we can go. And that's how quick it took to get her there. Just have her become the other person. Okay. The people want to know what somnambulistic level is. This is what it is. Okay.
And you have a table and chairs there? Is that where
Yes.
you eat?
Yes.
Who else lives in the family there? Who else lives with you?
My husband and his mother.
She lives with you also?
Yes.
Just the one baby?
There seems to be a little boy. I think there's a boy in the corner.
Uh-huh.
And she has a baby and a little boy, but every time she mentions the mother, it's always his mother. Okay.
Okay. Well, what you're cooking there, what kind of food is it?
Potatoes, meat, some meat, not all the time. Potatoes, vegetables, mostly root vegetables.
Uh-huh. Like a mixture?
Yes,
That sounds healthy anyway.
stew. I guess stew.
Uh-huh. Do you get the vegetables in the market in the city?
I buy them from someone in near the fountain.
Okay. As I thought if you were in the city, you wouldn't be able to grow them yourself.
No, I don't grow them.
Is this what you do with most of your time? Take care of the family?
Yes.
Got to say that the next thing I always want to know is what the occupation of the person is before we move in further in the story. A woman, like I said, wouldn't be doing anything. Except I said, is that what you do with most of your time? The husband would be the one that had the occupation. Now, I don't come out and say, what is your occupation? What is your job? Because they won't understand those words. I usually just say, what do you do with the majority of your time? And then they'll tell you. And that's what I asked her, is that what you do with most of your time? Just take care of the family. She said, yes. Okay.
What does your husband do for a living?
She's mending shoes.
Now, I'm going to move this forward because she takes quite a while to explain, try to get it across to me. First, she's talking about mending shoes. Then a little later, she's talking about working with horses. So it's a blacksmith. And she doesn't work there. He goes somewhere else to do the job. So I'm going to take it forward and see if we can make it cooperate here. Okay, so now we've got our cast of characters. We've got the scenery. Now we're going to move into the story. And the best way I found to do that, otherwise we can stay there all day. The whole session, just her cooking, taking care of the family. One day is pretty much like every other day. So in order to get the story, I have them move to an important day. Otherwise, it is just like every other day. And what they consider to be important is not always what we would consider to be important. Sometimes if they're living out on a farm, an important day is just being able to go to town. Or maybe they're having a get-together or something. So whatever we consider important is not what they do in their life. So when I'm going to move them, we've got everything established, I'll say, now let's leave that scene. You got to shut one door before you open another door. Now let's leave that scene and move forward to an important day. A day when something is happening that you consider to be important. And we're there now. What are you doing and what do you see? And they will come in on what's happening. It's like I said, otherwise they'll spend the whole session just there and you're not going to get the story. But it's a quick way to move it forward. Okay. She was at the end here talking about her husband and he's a blacksmith. Okay.
Kind of like a blacksmith?
Yes.
All right. Are you happy there?
Yeah.
Is that your mother or his mother that lives with you?
It's his mother.
You all get along all right?
She's bossy.
Tries to tell you what to do?
Mm-hmm.
You know how it is when you have more than one woman in a family.
But I hope you notice, once we get into this, after we're in the life, I'm just talking normal conversation tone with her. You don't have to be this slow anymore. We're in there, and I'm just having a conversation with her. So your voice changes. But anyway, this is, so, okay.
But you get along pretty well with your husband?
As good as can be expected.
As good as can be expected. Okay.
And you have the two children. You have a lot to do, don't you? Right. Okay. Let's leave that scene. I want you to move forward to an important day in this life we're watching. A day when something that you consider to be important is happening. Moving ahead to an important day. What are you doing now and what do you see?
Now, when we're coming in, all of a sudden I see tears. Before she's even began to talk, there's tears coming down her eyes. Okay. So I know something important is happening.
Son died.
My son died.
He's got croup.
Oh.
He's been getting thinner and thinner, and he can't eat properly anymore, and he's shivering. He finally just died.
Isn't the croup something with coughing or with the lungs or something?
Yes.
Could the doctor do anything?
No.
So that's a sad day, isn't it?
Yes.
You couldn't do it.
Now, when something like this happens, I'm not going to rush through it because I'm going to be with her for a little bit. You're not going to just move on to the next scene. I've got to be with her, to talk to her, to console her a little bit. Now, the croup, what I was thinking later, because she said it's very contagious and a lot of children died from it, could very well have been whooping cough. But they didn't have names for it. But in those days, when any kind of a disease came in, anything that was contagious was called the plague. So it was not always the Black Plague. Anything that was contagious and spread was the plague. And anything that started, it would just spread like wildfire, and it killed a lot of people. But this case, it was killing a lot of children.